IPsec failover with HSRP. HSRP is providing the redundancy, whereas IPsec we are responsible to have the identical configuration in both the routers or the routers which are going to be participated into the HSRP group. So before moving towards the configuration, let's see the basic IP reachability. R4 is your internal router, means these two are your private network. Over here R5 and R6, beyond R5 and R6, this side is your complete private network. Okay, this side you don't have the network. Actually you can take two more routers, but I am not taking two more routers. Rather than I will just configure one loopback address, so it is acting as your private network. This link FA0/0 till over here, this tunnel, this particular area is your public network. So 20.1.1.5, 20.1.1.6 and 20.1.1.7, those are in public network. Okay, so if you capture the packet over here, you should only see source and destination as public network, not any private network. Alright, whereas over here you will only see the private networks, not the public network. If you capture the right after the VPN configuration, if you capture packet in out of these three link, you will not see source or destination address from 20 network. Over here, if you capture the packet, you will not see source or destination from any other than 20.1.1.0 network. So let's check first R4 configuration. You have two private network. You have RIP version 2 configured on R4 and you are advertising two network, 4.0 network, 10.0 network. Let's go to R5 and R6. So IP interface brief. You have one interface going inside, one interface outside. In other words, private and public. You have RIP routing protocol configure, which is synchronizing with your internal network, not outside network. Alright. Similar way you should be having the same configuration at R6. So IP interface brief, one private network, one public network. So IP protocol, RIP version, you have 10.0 network advertised, means you are synchronizing the routing updates with your internal network. Why I took one more network over here in R4 internally, so just to check that our RIP is working fine, because you don't have any way to check with the neighborship. I mean, you don't have the command like show IP RIP neighbors. In OSPF and EIGRP you have this, so by checking up the neighborship you can say that okay, my protocols is communicating well. But here I am advertising 4.0 network. If I am getting the route address at R5 and R6, I can say that my RIP is working fine, right? So let's check it. RIP updates, right? On the R5. So my internal network is working fine. Now from both the router, let's check the reachability with your outside network. Ping 20.1.1.7. 7 is the router residing at the another side, side 2. Getting the reply at another router as well. Right? Now go to R7 and check how many private network you have. Only one network you have, 20.1.1.20.24/24, right? Now whatever we have seen so far, you can see in this diagram. This is the private network, this is complete private network, public IP address, public IP address, public IP address. Now let's first configure the HSRP on these two, R5 and R6. Which side we are considering HSRP group, or which side we are configuring HSRP group? Outside. So on which interfaces? Okay, on both the side, right? R5 and R6. Interface FA0/1 standby name. Let's say I am giving the name as HSRP only. Standby IP 20.1.1.10. That's what I taken for the VIP. This is your VIP. What else do you require over here? Priority. What is the default priority? Since R5, let me see the topology. R6 we are going to allocate first as a, or say that R6 is should be active as of now. So we will assign this priority less than 100. Right? Or let's say
less than 100 or more than 100?
less than 100. I don't want R5 to become the active as of now. And you can specify the MAC address as well if you want. Authentication also you can specify. I don't want to specify authentication and all stuff. Save this configuration, go to R6, interface FA0/0, standby name HSRP, standby IP 20.1.1.10, standby priority 110. Anything else do we require? By default it will be tracking only one interface, right? It's okay, we are going to test with one interface only. We don't want to track all this interface. You can track it as, it's like yesterday even I told that if you have enough knowledge of HSRP, no big deal. What you really have to understand is how IPsec is taking the failover. So it is standby as of now. How come it becomes the standby? Actually it is supposed to become active, right? So
the lesser one will become the active.
lesser one become the active. Oh, I thought that the higher one become the active. Okay. Sorry. Now that guy should become the active, right? Because we want R6 to become active. How to check that who is active and who is standby? Still he is speaking only. No, now we became the standby. Actually we want this. No. This is the what you are saying is AD value. One second. We will see here only. No big deal. So, higher priority in HSRP is active. So let's see the configuration. I did not make major changes. I said that you do the preemption. If you have the higher priority, if you goes down, if you come back again, you should snatch away your active role from someone who is having the lower priority. The same way I said the same thing at the other end as well, that if you have lower priority than your group member and he is not functioning well, then you become the active. If he is functioning well, is coming up, you have to give away your active role to your higher configured priority HSR, the guy. On R7, if you ping 20.1.1.10, who will reply? Who is replying now? Which router? How to check it? Trace route. It's a next hop only.
Sir, debug.
Yes, debug. Test route is to change that what is the path it is taking. You are pinging directly connected. So you go to R6 IP ICMP. This whole technique is really good. If you are doing on the production network, you have to make sure that you create the access list and then only you debug. The moment you debug, just like very vague, your router will also be processing hundreds and thousands of packets. So make sure that you are not enabling these kind of commands just like that. You have to be precise. But over here in JNS, we know that there is no big traffic. There is no traffic at all if we see practically. Right? Let's go to R5. Again run the same test. Did you get anything? No, right? Let's shut down this interface so we can exactly come to know that whether your failover is working fine or not. Sorry, I did it R6, right? Will take some time because they are negotiating the ownership. Go to R5, check it. Failover is working fine. Go to R6 and do the no shutdown, so he becomes the active one, right? Now let's configure this. So this was the HSRP thing. So HSRP failover is working fine according to our test. Now let's configure this IPsec and ISECM VPN. Okay, so first we will configure it R7 side, then we will come back at R5 and R6 side. R7, what are the steps for IPsec side to side? Tell me from the beginning. ISECM policy. ISECM policy comprises 4 statements plus a key if you are using preset key. If you are using certificate, then only 4 statements and the retrieval of the certificate. Then proxy ACL. Then IPsec transform set. Then you create the crypto map, right? Crypto ISECM policy 10, encryption 3 days, authentication preset, group 2, hash MD5, crypto ISECM key, zero Cisco 123 address. What address should you put over here? I am at R7 20.1.1.10 because you are not going to build the tunnel with any of the physical address, but you are going to build, you only know about the VIP. Now HSRP is the one who will decide that who is the owner of VIP. Crypto IPsec transform set, tset ESP 3 days, ESP MD5, crypto map, CMap, set peer, match address. Did we create any access list? No, right? But we can create it later. Set transform set. Over here you will see this reverse route, but we are not going to configure reverse route over here. If you want to configure, you can configure it. Let's say reverse route, access list 101 permit 10.1.2.0 25, sorry, right? Not right. IP we are missing. We have configured access list, we have configured IPsec policy, ISACM policy, IPsec policy. Everything looks right? Okay, let's go ahead and apply onto the outbound interface. That was the name, right? Yeah. Did we define the right access list? Source from this one, destination this one. Yes. See, actually I missed the one word, reverse route and static. It means that whether the tunnel is up or not, you install the route all the time. Okay. Now you can see whatever I was explaining, actually it was not coming right into your mind at the same time, but now you can see. This is your proxy ACL, right? This is your set peer. Now you don't require to install the route manually. Got it? So this is the function of reverse route. Save this configuration. Go to R5 and R6. Crypto ISACM policy 10. Encryption 3 days. Authentication pre-share. What value we have configured over here? Crypto ISACM key. Cisco 123 address. What address? Right? Crypto IPsec transform set T set ESP. We use 3 days and MD5, right? Okay. Access list says that permit IP 10.1.1.0 to where? 10.1. Okay. Crypto map, CMap. .1.1.7, right? Match address. We use the same thing, right? Interface FA0/0. Alright, so we have configured the crypto map, but we did not apply it. So let's apply it now. Interface FA0/0, crypto map, CMap. We did not do the reverse route over here, right? Actually we need the reverse route over here only. Reverse route static. Really? Yes. Yes, we have it now. Right? So whatever we have configured over here, let me knock off that configuration. Crypto map, CMap 10, IPsec SA. I think we will remove the complete map. Okay, we have still. Okay. So whatever we have configured so far over here, the same thing we have to have in R6. So we'll copy from here to here. go to R6. ना ठीक है. Paste the same configuration. Access list 101 permit 10.1.1.0 0.0.0.255 10.1.2.0 0.0.0.255. Almost same, right? Okay. Apply it onto the outbound interface. Sorry? Yeah, actually it was F0 0 F0/1. I think the same thing we did mistake on R5 as well. Yeah. Okay. You have a static route? No. I think we made some mistake in configuration. No, we did not make any mistake. Yeah, it will not display in standby. This one is standby, right? R5 is. Now, okay. Still we are not done with this reverse route and this thing. See, you know that who is active, that guy is displaying the route into the static routing table. Now, if you want this route to be available over here, the problem was what is the next of address set at internal routers. So that's why you are configuring the internal routing protocol, and then you are going to inject into this internal routing protocol whatever static routing you have learned via reverse route. So that functionality, this reverse route injecting, is IPsec feature. Then redistributing setting is your routing protocol configuration. Now HSRP is playing a great role that whosoever is active in HSRP group, he is the only one who is going to advertise into the internal routing protocol. Other guy will not advertise. So let's see it. At R6, go to the routing protocol, redistributes static. Same thing you do on the R5 as well. Router rip, redistribute static. Save this configuration. Go to R4 and check it. What is your next hop address? 10.1.1.6. Okay. Let's shut down this interface. Who is your in HSRP group? So he will become the standby. That guy will become the active. So now if you check the routing table on R4, after some seconds, you should see the next hop address is 10.1.1.5, not 1.6. Let's wait till he become the active. R5. Yeah, it became the active, right? It is actually learning from R6. Yeah, because you did not configure the HSRP group at this side. So E is the HSRP group. So the redistributing routing or taking the role of, let's say, if I have to advertise the static router, who is the active one, that active one will redistribute into the internal routing protocol, right? But we did not configure HSRP over here. If we configure HSRP over here, it will make more sense. Why you are getting via 10.1.1.6? You are getting actually RIP update, right? Over here R5, not R4. Standby 1 IP address, let's say I am giving, or else in the production network, or if you have the real network in this way, you will be having the HSRP in both the side. If one side HSRP is there, another side HSRP is not there, what benefit you are trying to get out of this implementation? You are getting what exactly we are discussing and what exactly we are into now. Let's say here at this side I have configured HSRP and it is working fine, that VIP ownership is working fine. But this side, if you want to inject the reverse route which was learned by IPsec, the decision is whosoever is active who will inject the route, right? But this side there is no HSRP group, so it will try to inject at this side. This side you don't have the routing protocol. So what is the solution? What is the solution now? Now we are not going to concern about R4. First we will see the result, then again we will solve this problem. We will configure HSRP at this side as well. Okay, but as of now, whatever our existing configuration, with that only we will see the IPsec failover. So at R5 and R6, R5 is your standby, right? We have applied the crypto map, but whenever you are doing the failover, IPsec failover with HSRP, you don't have to apply, or you should have to apply the crypto map in this fashion. No crypto map CMap, crypto map CMap redundant. What is the group name of HSRP? HSRP. Similar way at R6, no crypto map CMap, crypto map CMap redundancy HSRP. Okay, now go to R6. Sorry, check you have the routing information. Yeah, go to R7 and initiate the tunnel. What should you ping over here? I want to initiate the VPN tunnel. What should I ping? What IP address you tell? Ping 10.1. If you ping 4, it will send. Okay, as of now 4 will work fine. Loopback is over here at R7. Okay, let me show you the topology. From here we are trying to test the VPN tunnel. What is your two private network? That is one private network. What you said is one private network. What is another private network? 10.1.1.2, right? So your VPN traffic is traveling from 10.1.2.0 network to 10.1.1.0 network. If you try to reach 4.4.4.4, it is not a VPN subjected traffic, because we did not specify under the crypto ACL. So at R7, if I want to initiate the tunnel, what should be my source and destination? Exactly right. 10.1.1. We will ping 10.1.1. Let's say 6, or you can go 10.1.1.4. 10.1.1.4 source loopback 1. Now check your ISACM status. Idle. Again you try to ping. Got it? Whom you are pinging? 10.1.1.4, right? Debug IP packet. From here again you check it. What source address should you get? 10.1.1. Sorry, 10.1.1. Sorry, 10.1.2.7 is the source address. What did we enable the? I think we have enabled the IP packets, right? Debug IP ICMP. We don't want to debug the packets. Destination is 10.1.2.7 is your private network of other side, right? Okay. Now let's capture the packet and see. Will you be getting the information about 10.1.1.0 network and 10.1.2.0 network? I don't have to specify source because it's already sourcing from the physical interface, right? 10.1.1.4. Let's go over here and check it. These are your ESP packets. You will not see the internal okay. You will not see Wireshark now. Yeah, you will not see internal of a packet, what exactly is being traveling into it, right? Alright, now let's shut down this interface FA0/1, right? R6 interface FA0/1, shut down. Now initiate the same tunnel, ping the same thing, but you will not get this reply. First you have to wait for few seconds. First you have to make that adjustment that R6 should give up this role, R5 should become the active. Once it becomes the active, even though you will not get this reply. The reason is very simple. If you open this R5, you will come to know that someone is sending the cryptographic message which I cannot understand. Who is saying this one? R5. The reason is very simple, because you don't have any tunnel. You don't have any tunnel established. Okay. So in this case the disadvantage is this one, that you have to clear crypto session, and now you initiate. It will negotiate the phase 1 tunnel and establish the IPsec tunnel as well. See, got it, right? Now let's check the tunnel over here. Right? Now you get the reply over here. Let's go to R4 and check the routing table. See, in order to reach 10.1.2.0, now who is advertising? Okay. It takes some time to set up the next hop address as the active one, but if you want immediate, you can configure HSRP both the side. It will be immediate. In HSRP, you can say that allow time interval, you can decrease it, so failover will be just like that, more faster. But again, the whole thing or the whole practical I don't see that people are going to use this kind of failover. The reason is very simple, because how will remote user come to know that my failover has occurred at the remote site, right? Because I only know, if I am a remote user, I only know 20.1.1.10. How will I come to know that my remote user or my remote site, who are a group of or who are the member of one HSRP group, they took a failover? How do I come to know that? At which time should I clear my crypto session and initiate the again? So that's why it is not feasible. But if you have the knowledge, it is a good solution without having additional capability and all. If you want to go with the stateful failover, it requires some good equipment, plus you have to have some protocol compatibility as well. So that's it of HSRP failover, or sorry, IPsec failover with HSRP.